Hi, I'm Nathan Graham with an exclusive interview with actor Cedric Moncrief. Cedric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
Well, I know that you are on stage with so many talented actors and actresses. You have Alice Nunn, you have Clive Patchett. You have so many people who are incredible, and they haven't been here as long as you have. But some of them have a little bit of ego. How do you keep your ego at bay?
Well, personally, I don't necessarily care that much for the spotlight, personally. I do like having speaking roles, because then I get to entertain people, which is, once you get to entertain people, then they laugh, and then internally, of course, you laugh because you think, wow, I've done a good job. But if you're in the ensemble, that's not always the case necessarily for me, personally, because then I don't get to say anything, and I don't get to do the types of songs that I like to do. But I still do I've been in the ensemble a few shows recently. It's fun. Personally, my ego, I keep it in check just because I like getting more into character, and I think it's more fun when I get to be in character and not worry about personal life than when I'm worrying about if I get the final bow or something like that. And I know there are some people in the cast who do think that way. It's a little bit difficult keeping my ego in check around Alice, just because she's a very
energetic,
difficult person. Yeah, energetic.
Very passionate about
very
her
passionate. That's a good word. Passionate. She's very passionate about her part, and it kind of builds up the same kind of passion in other people.
Yes. So I know that you have a lot of good relationships with a lot of characters. You're pretty much friendly with everyone. However, I noticed that a few days ago when I was, watching you perform, that you had a little bit of a moment just reminiscing about someone in particular. I think it was Rosa Budd. Is that correct? Yeah.
It was Rosa's mother, actually.
So what is your character's deal with Rosa Budd's mother?
Well, it's a bit of a mystery, and it's sort of what makes the backstory of Chris Barker so intriguing, because he's a bit of a wild card, because in one scene he'll seem like, oh, he's such a completely normal, nice person, and then he'll start reminiscing about Rosa's mother, and it'll all change, because the Reverend Chris Barker was once engaged to Rosa's mother, years before even the beginning of the show occurred. It was over a decade. It was probably about at least 16 or so years. It was 2 years before Rosa was born, actually.
All right, so about 16 then.
He used to be engaged to Rosa's mother, and then eventually they broke off in some way or another, we don't know, and Rosa's mother married another man, and then mysteriously died, and it's not. And so Chris Barker alludes to that, which is interesting because it's strange how Chris Barker knows about it, and it's strange how the cause of the murder is it's a completely mystery. It's an entire mystery behind the mystery.
So another thing that is a little bit mysterious is, the whole thing seems very convoluted, very complicated. Another thing that's very mysterious is that the show is not finished. Charles Dickens passed away before it was finished, and I know that one of the things that is up for debate is that Edwin Drood be killed or not. So what do you think? Do you think that Edwin Drood should be killed?
I personally think Edwin Drood should be killed, because the thing is, if Edwin Drood doesn't die, then at the ending, if Edwin Drood is revealed as having been, he never died, or if he's involved in the story the entire time, then we know that Edwin Drood never died to begin with, and so there can be no true murderer. There can be someone who maybe attempted murder or something like that. But it does raise other questions, such as why didn't Drood die? But it does take away a bit of the fun of how did Drood die and who killed Drood? And I think that Charles Dickens probably intended for Drood to die.
Well, that raises another good question. One of the people who may be a murderer is you yourself. Mm-hmm. So why should we vote for you as the murderer of Edwin Drood?
Well, I think that Chris Barker is a bit mysterious in the ways that in the reasons he might have killed Drood, and I can't reveal the true reason behind why he would kill Drood if I am voted murderer, which I think I should be. But it would certainly be something that people might not expect, and it's certainly plausible that Chris Barker killed Drood, because he's got that kind of wild card personality, and so in that way he might have motives that people might not have thought of, whereas people like Neville, he has an obvious reason why he might have killed Drood, which is that he doesn't like Drood and he wants to be with Rosa. But in that way, that would sort of take away from the fun of the mystery if Neville or Jasper was voted as the murderer, because that's obvious. You know, they have obvious motives. They have obvious reasons. Whereas Chris Sparkle, he has motives that you can see that do make sense with the plot, but they're interesting and they're more mysterious than other characters. And so I think it really would play into why it's the mystery of Edwin Drood rather than just the time when Edwin Drood got killed by someone who we all expected.
The conclusion of Edwin Drood.
Exactly.
Well, I think it'll be very interesting if you're voted as murderer because, as he said, it is very mysterious. It is the mystery of Edwin Drood after all. Cedric, thank you so much for being on the show.
What's a king without a crown? Take away his throne and gown. He could be the rabble or the Russian Tsar. Judge each creature of a race by each feature in his face. Just look at him, I rest my case, well there you are.
There you are!
And it matters not to me what part of town you come from. We but cheer you made it here at all. Here within this garage parish called our music hall. There you are! How very glad we are that there you are! It isn't who you are, but where you are! And there you are!